They were saying that that they've done studies as well where plants and vegetation grow faster when they listen to music. And so I guess that's where the theory comes from of you talking to your plants every day, talking to your flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it might be. In that case, it might be a little more than just a mechanical explanation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're dealing with here. There's something more than physics involved with this.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, it's related.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's more of a geometrical situation.
Yeah. With them being alive and everything, and like we're talking about, just water experiment and stuff, I think that it matters, I think that it all matters if you're speaking to it. Supposedly, they did a experiment as well where they measured the resonance and the frequency from flowers, and whenever they were going to get scissors to go cut these flowers, the resonance and the frequency spiked, like they got scared whenever this was happening. It's almost like, whether it's the water or the plant itself, the life from the plant, like something was conscious of, what was going on.
Yeah, there was a whole book written on that called The Secret Life of Plants.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that book?
No. Who's it by?
I forget right off, but that book had quite an impact on me when I first read it. And it gets very deep into this.
Okay. Now, I know you have more to say, but I actually have friends who consume certain plants, whether it's ayahuasca, marijuana, things like that. And they talk about having experiences where they come in contact with an entity, like this plant is alive under the consumption of it. Like they meet a woman who says, I don't want to be smoked, or you need to respect me, or something like that.
That's conceivable.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as far as the world of biology goes, life eats life.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are a bit different, and they pretty much eat only dead stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, for a healthy organism, it's a life eats life situation.
Mm-hmm.
So when you consume the plant, you are consuming that entity and its life force and its archetypes, and that's merging with yours.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Pythagoras taught as well about eating meat and things, correct?
I'm not certain about that aspect of Pythagoras' work, but that's conceivable.
Yeah, it was, I think, much like the Hindu look on it, as far as whenever you consume these animals and you're consuming the blood that you're taking upon the stresses and the things like that animal was going through.
That seems to be somewhat established in, from the knowledge of hunters that, when they kill an animal and the animal is in a state of distress in that process, that influences the flavor of the meat. But it should be pointed out that humans are not operating as carnivores, but they're operating as carrion eaters.
Mm-hmm.
The carnivore actually kills the animal and ingests its living energy. It's the life eats life situation. But as far as crows and vultures and humans and many species of dogs, even though the aforementioned creatures, other than the humans, are designed to eat carrion, mainly because of the bacteria and the other things that are in it, have the life potential. The humans are blatant carrion eaters, and they're just eating, the dead, rotting remains. And so it's going to be pretty much, there's going to be no energetic level at that point. But the influences are going to be, pretty much physiochemical. They're not going to be on an ether level, like if you were eating the animal while it was alive, like a carnivore does.
Yeah, I actually, when I'm not eating right or something like that, or feeling bad because of my diet, consuming plants and vegetables, fresh plants and vegetables, I can feel the life. I can feel the energy coming into me. I'm real conscious of it, and I can actually feel it. I feel 100% better after consuming that. If it's been a while since I had fresh plants and vegetables, I can literally feel it.
Yeah, well, it will actually regenerate your body and heal it.
Mm-hmm.
So, these are the principles I use, because I don't, there's no doctors available for me. I live in the bushes. When I die, my body's going to be thrown in a ditch somewhere. So I've got to fix everything myself, just like my car.
Mm-hmm.
So, if there's going to be anything screwed up, I can't have that. There is no doctor for me. So, the way that I affect that is a living food diet.
Mm-hmm.
And that will cause my teeth to regenerate and any damage to my body to heal, and it makes me resistant to diseases and heat and cold and injury, and my senses are very acute because I'm sticking to the biological principle of life eats life. So if I'm a living entity, I consume living entities to maintain my living energy. Otherwise, then I'm just an ambulatory corpse living on carrion. That's what basically most people in this society are, is they're the walking dead.
And I think that's by design. Would you agree with everything we've been talking about?
Yeah, and it's becoming very symbolic because, the satanic images are tattooed all over people's bodies, and their automobiles are in the shape of it, and the whole thing's becoming a society of death worship. Everything has got skulls and knives and axes and blades, and virtually every third, fourth person in this town has an emblem of some kind of scar or destructive device to kill emblazoned on either their body or their clothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All that, yeah.
So this society is reaching its terminal phase.
Mm-hmm.
It won't make it much longer because it's strictly a fanatic worship of death and destruction.
Yeah. But there is power in returning back to the source, correct?
And we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no amount of weaponry that's going to fight your way out of this thing because it's highly organized and it's got more than you do.
Yeah.
So the only thing you can do is to switch the whole thing around and operate on the primary level of, of what we've been talking about with the Pythagoras and the powers that these people had back then that are forgotten now.
I mean, I'm exactly, I think I'm with you 100%. I don't think that the New Age movement or a lot of people who are, waking up to a lot of this stuff, whether even if it's the Christian church or whatever, to wake up to these ancient principles that have been lost. I think that it will help us in our personal lives, like everything you've been saying, and it's actually helping you. But so I think that's why people find peace in acknowledging a higher power, someone who maybe will come through at the end and, help us from these demonic beings who are controlling everything that's going on. I know it can't end this way. I think it might, but I think people have a hope that there is something that's going to happen, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in Jesus Christ coming back, or ETs coming to save us in the end, who have been watching over us the whole time and are eventually going to be like, okay, enough is enough. Do you have any hope in a higher power, that something is guiding us that may be a little bit more intelligent and have our best interest in mind that's out there?
No, I kind of look at it more from, like a military standpoint.
Okay.
But, it's either going to be evasion or defense or some type of situation. When you look at things from a biblical standpoint, the human race has never entered such an era of dismality, ever. Ever.
Okay.
Has anything like this ever existed?
Mm-hmm.
It's by definition, in those levels of understanding, it's terminal.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know what the time constant is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, we know the circuit's overloaded, but, is it a 60 amp fuse, or is it a 70 amp fuse, or is it a 100 amp fuse that's going to blow? We don't know what the size of the fuse is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to blow.
Yeah.
So it could get thousands of times more worse than this.
Mm-hmm.
It could turn into a hell that no one would ever have conceived. To me, it already is.
Mm-hmm.
If I went and I grabbed Martin Luther or J.S. Bach or Kepler or any of these people that created the world that I exist in, and I transferred them to here, and I had them walk out the door and look out to the street in this town, they would immediately go insane. Their brain would explode because they know that they were in hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that when we're talking about a higher power or ETs or whatever the case is, something that may come and help us or something like that, a lot of people sit by passive, where they understand, well, I don't have to do anything because somebody's coming to save me.
Well, that's the whole cop-out. That's why I don't subscribe to that.
Exactly. But there are a lot of people waking up. There are a lot of people who want to get back in touch with nature, who seek the best interest of others, and who see others as an extension of themselves. And whether you want to call that getting back to spirituality or what, I think we need to enjoy this life and embrace each other and embrace life in general. And that's why I had you on the show, because I think you're explaining the scientific methods, like I said earlier, of a lot of the philosophies and a lot of the sciences behind spirituality that's written in a lot of holy books. So I think the whole, Jesus is coming back to save us, or Buddha or Muhammad or whatever, is actually used as a cop-out, because people, they tend to not do anything. Or that's
it makes me angry to watch these people, behave the way they do and think, oh, I'm going to be saved and I'm going to go to heaven, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, fuck the earth.
But the thing is, I tell these people, and it angers them. I go, it doesn't work like that. I go, Jesus left in his spaceship, and he's not coming back. And there is not one person on this planet today, not one, that is going to heaven. So just get that out of your mind. Then they choke you and they'll never talk to me again. So that's fine. It insults me to have that keep throwing in my face and throwing in my face. I watch these people behave like savages and just trash everything around them. If they go to church and they pray on Sunday, and so what we do, we call that insurance policy Christianity. Yeah. And then on the other level, then, they want to pray in the morning for, when we go out, we're going to find more gold. Well, I would call that rewards card Christianity. And I just have to tell these people I cannot engage in either one of those things, because it's against my upbringing, as I come from a long line Christian background of priests, nuns, and monks, and all that to go back 800 years. People want to start spouting this stuff off, and I can't handle it, because I was not made like that.
Yeah, and so I guess what you're saying is the exact same thing I'm saying, and a lot of other people, is that what you're seeing from the church now, claiming to be the ones who get you in tune with God, are doing the exact opposite and just using.
Yeah, so what I do is just like, the person I'm referring to in Los Angeles, where I work there, that exhibits these things that I just said. So why don't you come to church on Sunday? Well, the last thing I want to do is go into Los Angeles on Sunday. When the whole fake circus is crawling, and to risk my car and my personal body and the rest of that. When I go, well, here's what you need to do. You need to come to my church, because they all wonder where I go at the end of the day, and I disappear in some jeep trail up in the mountains. It's very drivable, so nobody will bother me. The altimeter hand is moving like a second hand on a clock on the face of a mountain. That's where I go at the end of the day. I go, you need to come to my church, the church of God's creation.
Exactly. I'm with you there, brother.
You're not some hole where a bunch of carrion-eating people are going to jerk themselves off, and they're going to go to heaven. Everybody else is going to go to hell because they're a piece of dead meat that rocks. The only reason why, in my adult life, where I went to the churches was the big ones that had the organs.
Yeah.
And I was there for the sound. I wasn't there for the rap.
Yeah, and you know what? They have people saying that on a very small scale now, as far as they go to church to enjoy the music, or they don't really know the people or agree with the preaching, but they enjoy the music. They have great music there.
I'm a Lutheran, and that's what Lutheranism is based on. It's music. Music is access to God.
Yeah, exactly.
Not somebody's oscillating tongue.
Exactly.